Welcome back. In this video, we're stepping on board a Delta Airlines A220-300 in domestic first class from Santa Barbara, California to Atlanta, Georgia. The A220 is a unique aircraft with some definite quirks versus other Airbus aircraft. So what makes this aircraft so popular with passengers? And is it really one of the best narrow-body planes in the air today? Join us as we head back to the East Coast this morning. We'll cover the charming Santa Barbara Airport, as well as a full review of the first class cabin, seat, and in-flight experience. And we'll even have a few curveballs on this flight today. Welcome to Travel at Random. We're Trevor and Ryan. This channel started out of a love of travel. We're here to share unbiased and self-funded trip reports, hotel and flight reviews, and travel advice. We hope we inspire your next getaway. Check out our playlist in the description and browse the channel. If you enjoy this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with our latest content. Thank you for watching. Now let's pack up and head to the airport on this typical foggy Santa Barbara morning. Today's journey starts off in sunny Southern California. Just ignore the late summer fog. We're at Santa Barbara Municipal Airport, SBA for short. If you aren't familiar, Santa Barbara is about 90 miles north of Los Angeles. Located just a few miles west of downtown Santa Barbara, close to the University of California, SBA is a small airport primarily served by Alaska, American, Delta, Southwest, and United. In 2024, it served more than 1.4 million passengers. The original Spanish-style terminal building was built in 1942. In 2011, a new terminal building was completed, which kept the Spanish style but dramatically increased the size of the terminal and included some modern amenities. The original terminal was restored and named after Earl Ovington, the first pilot to carry airmail in the US. Today, it features offices, meeting space, and a small exhibit. It's just out front of the current terminal, and the building and exhibits are open to the public. The Santa Barbara Airport is as unique as the city itself. The terminal is compact and has Spanish-style accents in the tile, stairs, and on the ceilings. Ticketing is on the main floor, along with baggage claim. Security and departure gates are on the second floor. The small terminal features 5 gates with 4 jet bridges. The morning of our flight, all planes were at remote stands. It seems like a lot of the jet bridges are just for American Airlines, as our flight, the Alaska flight, and United flights were all leaving out of Gate 5, which boarded from the ramp. There is a news and gift shop and a coffee shop which open at 4:30 a.m. There's also a restaurant and bar which is open daily from 9 to 7 p.m. If you need a coffee or breakfast, the coffee shop is the only option before 9 a.m. Delta restarted service to SBA in June of 2024 after cutting its only service to the airport to Salt Lake City during the pandemic. The Salt Lake City flights are on regional jets, and our direct flight to Atlanta is on a mainline A220-300 aircraft. These newer variants of the A220 that North American carriers fly are assembled in Mobile, Alabama. Our flight today will take us about 4.5 hours and will take us 2,000 miles from Santa Barbara to Atlanta. Our gate was number 5, shared with the other remote stand aircraft. Boarding started on time, but quickly devolved into a rush of opportunistic pre-boarders and Zone 1. The ground staff at Santa Barbara are contract employees, so not Delta staff, but they could have done a little bit more to try and rein in what was going on. There was a lot of "don't you know who I am" among some of the passengers during the rush to board. There were 3 morning flights, all departing within the same 45-minute window and all using Gate 5. This meant that the vast majority of the terminal was empty and everyone was crowded at the end around one gate. Boarding for all flights was quite chaotic. It seemed like the reason for this was that the 3 agents working could handle all 3 flights one after another. After scanning our boarding passes, it was just a quick trip down the stairs and a short walk out to the aircraft. The A220-300 features 3 rows of first class in a standard 2-2 configuration. Behind the first class cabin, there are 30 Comfort Plus and 88 main cabin seats in a 2-3 configuration. So if you're flying in economy, try to get the A or B seats since there are no middle seats on that side of the plane. Delta also flies the A220-100, which has a similar configuration just with fewer rows and seats. We were in seats 3C and 3D today. One of the nice parts of flying Delta First Class is the bottle of water that will greet you at your seat when you board. This is always appreciated. Our pro tip, stay hydrated when flying. Each first class seat is 20.5 inches wide with a standard 37 inches of pitch. The headrest does move, this one was just a little stiff, and the sides do articulate. The center armrest has a narrow storage compartment, and the top of the armrest flips up to provide easier access. There is a dedicated water bottle holder on the front of the armrest. Each seat has its own universal power outlet. These were in a more convenient location than some other aircraft. And there's a USB-A port on the IFE, and just to the side is a coat hook. There is a small literature pocket directly below the screen, and then a pouch below where you can store more personal items. There are individual overhead air vents, which we like to see, as well as reading lights. And yep, nice large windows. This first class cabin features 13.3-inch touchscreen monitors. They're bright, crisp, and very responsive when they work. Trevor had a little issue where his IFE was freezing a bit. On our outbound flight, it was frozen entirely, and he didn't want to end up with a broken IFE again, so he worked with the flight attendant and they patiently got it working. The system on board our flight featured hundreds of movies and TV episodes, as well as live TV. You'll also find music and a flight tracker. Oddly, this IFE system does not support Delta Sync, which is their newer system that allows you to log in and save movies and TV shows to your profile. These screens also don't support Bluetooth, which is available on some Delta aircraft, such as the A321neo. If you forget to bring headphones on board, Delta does offer free earbuds in both first class and economy. Wi-Fi is available on this plane. It's free if you have a SkyMiles account. It was decent and stayed connected throughout the flight. The A220 is famous for having lavatories with a view. There is one lav at the front of the first class cabin, but unlike the lav at the back of the plane, this one does not have a window. Once we were settled, the flight attendant came by to take pre-departure beverage orders. We both opted to skip anything for now, thinking we'd be in the air shortly. But that proved to be a bad call. The pre-flight checks identified that a dust cap had been lost for one of the fuel tanks, so we ended up waiting about 30 minutes for the local technician to find a replacement. Thankfully, it was something simple, as Delta is the only carrier flying the A220 to SBA, so spare parts are probably limited. After the delay, the door was closed and we taxied down to the runway. We took off to the south. It's usually a gorgeous view, but today it was overcast. Once in the air, the flight attendant came by to take drink orders. We finally got that morning cup of coffee. Delta allows you to pre-book your meal a week prior to your flight. You'll receive an email notification, and there are usually 3 entrees which will be available for order on the plane, and a second selection of items only available if you pre-order. For our breakfast flight, I pre-ordered the coconut chia overnight oats, and Trevor pre-ordered the French toast. While boarding, the flight attendant noticed that there had been a catering issue and several meals were missing. In an interesting side note, Delta actually drives the catering meals up from LAX to Santa Barbara. In any case, 3 people had pre-ordered a meal and only 1 was sent. The flight attendant worked with the passengers impacted to see if there was something else they'd like. Unfortunately, I was one of those impacted. I don't eat cheese, and the only non-cheese item was the overnight oats, which even though I had pre-ordered, was missing. Catering also didn't include meals for the flight crew, which is required on longer flights. This meant they didn't have meals for the pilots. While we were still on the ground, the first officer headed back to the terminal to buy food for the crew, and the flight attendant asked if I'd like anything. I asked for a bagel, which the first officer bought for me in the terminal, and the flight attendant plated up for my breakfast. I really appreciate that Delta's crew did their best to find a solution. It would have been really easy to say, oh well, and call it a day. Trevor ordered the French toast. It was served with a yogurt parfait and croissant. The yogurt was nice, although we do miss the fresh fruit they used to offer. Their croissant was fresh and warmed nicely. The French toast may have spent a little too long in the oven as the mascarpone had been annihilated and was now a molten pool of oil. Trevor did say he enjoyed the dish, but it was super greasy. As I mentioned, I had pre-ordered the overnight oats, but was unfortunately impacted by the catering issue. So my tray included the bagel from the terminal, a warm croissant, and the yogurt with the pecans, granola, and fruit compote. Overall, this was a fairly typical domestic first class breakfast, which isn't the best catering in the skies. Today we have a bonus for you. Dinner is often more exciting than breakfast, and we flew this westbound route a week prior. That flight departs Atlanta at 6:20 p.m. and arrives in Santa Barbara just after 8. So we thought we'd show you that dinner service. On the dinner flight, Trevor ordered the Little Gem wedge salad, which was well prepared and fresh, although it needed a little more dressing. I ordered the braised beef short rib, which was quite good. The meat was well cooked and tender. Sometimes short rib can be a bit rubbery. This was not. Both meals came with a warm roll, butter, and a lemon layer cake for dessert. Usually these flights have a side salad, so it was a bit odd that it was just the entree, bread, and dessert. The lemon cake was really tasty, with a short crust, lemon curd, lemon soaked cake, and whipped cream on top. Now back to our morning flight to Atlanta. After the meal service, the flight attendant did come by several times during the flight with a snack basket, and was somewhat proactive with drink refills. With that, we started our descent into Atlanta. We had a parallel landing, so if you look closely in the distance, you can see us in a bit of a race with another flight. So what was our take on the Delta A220? The A220 gives airlines a fuel-efficient, modern plane with good range, but fewer seats than a larger mainline aircraft. That has made it possible for Delta to fly routes like Atlanta to Santa Barbara, an airport that typically would only get shorter regional flights. We both enjoyed the seat for a flight of this length. It was comfortable and there was plenty of room. This is a smaller first-class cabin than many Delta mainline aircraft, with only 3 rows and 12 seats. If you're flying in the main cabin, just remember there are no middle seats on the AB side of the plane. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Both of these are a great way you can help out the channel. Also, leave us a comment and let us know your thoughts on this Delta service. We love the feedback. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next adventure.